Hey, hey, hey. So I've heard of the out of this world story from our space. Wife confessed to emotionally cheating, but was it physical? So, I'm a husband to a beautiful wife. We have 2 children and been married for about 10 years now. My wife and I are in our early 30s. About 3 years ago is when it happened. I see myself as a loving husband and I saw her as a loving wife. We have had arguments in the past, but over time, they have become less and we have become more communicative in a better manner. She is an amazing mother to our children, and I don't know of a better person I'd have this gorgeous family with. Stress, anxiety, depression, thoughts of divorce, which later turned to plans of divorce, plagued my very existence. I still continue to be professional at work and respectful around the house, so it was difficult to detect my emotions. So back to 3 years ago. My wife became uncomfortable because she didn't get along with my mother at that particular time, and I wanted to keep the peace. My mother was staying with us for a while, and so my wife started to become distant, always wanting to leave the house. We hardly communicated. She would take our daughter with her most of the time. This is the bar even waiting for. She met a guy that supposedly fixes everything. Our radiator needed replacement on her second car, and he was recommended for the job. She had to drive the car to his place to get it worked on. I guess while there, she liked the environment and vibes or whatever, and took a liking to the guy. I noticed the change in demeanor only a few days after getting the radiator fixed. So, after the first week, I began to contemplate how to fix this. I tried inviting her places or suggested family outings, but she refused. She would mention going somewhere, and it was obvious it was to the guy's place. I saw her on my security cams one morning, almost rushing to head out, and another time, bringing her lawnmower to get it fixed, which it didn't need. Also, had to get the radiator replaced again. She even hired him to cut the grass at our house and paid extra to haul a little garbage. I noticed on my cameras after reviewing that although they never touched, he seemed way too comfortable, and body language of both were sending red flags. Even my mom later revealed to me that she saw her flirting with him more so in body language, non-verbal. At this point, we weren't having sex for this time period. I know for a fact she was cheating emotionally, as she has stated this to me after she felt the need to come clean. One night, we laid in bed until we started talking, and then it came out. I was already aware of the situation, so no surprise. But I was hurt to say the least, and I guess she was as well, as she cried in my arms that night, reassuring me that she loves me and was dumb for even going so far. She denies any sexual contact, although I feel otherwise without any proof. I won't accuse her, but I've let her know that I do not trust her after these events. I still love her, as we are a family unit, but I get anxiety every time she leaves the house. I feel as if she may meet some random guy and do the same or worse. After confessing to me, I forgave her, but I can never forget and can't seem to get over it. Earlier this year was the first speaking about it with her, and she revealed a little more info than before. And in the time when it was happening, I know she erased a text or two from him, and when asked, she can't remember. She said they never exchanged verbal flirtation, but it was more body language. She said the whole situation was just inappropriate, and that last day she spent over there, I guess she conveyed this to him. She was not answering my calls while she was there this last day, and I have our son, and she has our daughter, so I was worried at this point. Sucks. So what do I do now? I was on the brink of divorcing her. We have been better since, and I sort of like the direction our relationship is going, and she makes a little more effort, but I'm still bothered by my distrust for her and anxiety from the unknown possibilities. It's unhealthy and seems to only get worse. My plan is really to just talk to her about this, but I hate to feel like I'm messing up a good time point of progress in a relationship. I tend to want to wait for the right time. We have been pretty busy, especially at me, as I have a business to run, but I also came quite ill with what seemed to be a near-death experience, still dealing with illness, but literally just started working this year as it got a little better. Well, advice or questions are welcomed. By the way, this thing with the guy only lasted a few days, but she has known him for only about 2 weeks. Her affair lasted maybe a week or less. This is the first and only time with this type of situation with her. Update. My mom moved out a few weeks after. They are friends and family now. She talks to my mom more than I do. Our 10-year anniversary is in a few days, by the way. Let's get one comment from the community, then check in for an update. Kranok says, first she tells you a little bit while you were in bed. Then she tells you more about it after she said earlier that it was nothing more. Now the same again? First she said it was only emotional. Now she had seen him without his shirt. If this goes on, then you will hear in a year how he leaned into her during the goodbye hug and kissed her, which she liked. Then a few years later, she would tell you how he first fixed the radiator, but it broke down again when they were making out on it, and so on. Her behavior leads to only one thing. You will always ask yourself if that was really all that happened, and you will never believe her that this is all. This is the damage that comes from trickle truth, and a hurdle you will hardly overcome. She knows exactly what happened, and to ease the guilt that she has for all that she did with him, she tells you that it is all your fault. She had no other choice. You are worth so much more than to be treated this way. Time for the update. Hey guys and gals and others, being respectful, we had a talk which she was annoyed with until I kept reminding her this is for me to get past the distrust and anxiety so we can move forward. Basically, she stuck to the same story, with a little more, of course. Trickle truth, I tell ya. So apparently her liking for him was partly emotional, but coming to find out, she was attracted to him when he was fixing the radiator he took off his shirt. She said she mentioned to him that the ladies would find him attractive, but yeah. So she also revealed that at the time, she didn't care. She knew I knew, and she continued to go. She also said that they also knew they liked each other, and it went unsaid until it was said towards the end. So basically, she said it was my fault because she was mad at me and my mom. Mind you, she only seen the guy like 3 to 4 times, radiator, AC, and lawnmower, which was non-fix, and money was spent. Anywho, I kinda spazzed on her at the end after her making me feel like it's my fault. I really can't be fake, so I let her know she was willing to throw years of work and sacrifice for somebody she kinda liked, and later admitted there was sexual tension, but at the same time, she claims to not see herself having sex with him. He did have a girlfriend though, and kids, it seems, and lives with his parents, so unless there was a right opportunity, it probably didn't get physical. It was definitely emotional to a degree though. According to her, they never touched apart from the last conversation. He asked for a goodbye hug. This is really her account of the story, not mine. Alright, some community reactions before to move on. 33 say what 33 says. Okay, I'm thrilled you had to sit down, etc. Assume she's telling the truth. That's not bad. That's recoverable. The bad news is, she blamed you for the flirting. That's toxic. I'm serious that it shows she still believes she was in the right. Gulp. She needs to say what she did was over the line. She doesn't want you doing that, and she's sorry. Full stop. No buts. After that, I have 2 great books that I think can really give your marriage a reboot. You'll both like them. And the response from the OP. Hey, I appreciate that. So I guess I should have posted this, but after me digging to find pretty much nothing apart from the fact that she still allowed herself to go to him and prioritize him in that moment is hurtful. She claims she just didn't like being in the house since the mom incident and felt unsupported. So she was upset with me to some extent, and although she cleared up that, she wasn't blaming me. It was more a trigger for her. So there are still issues, but those which can be fixed, I hope. Today, she pretty much reassured me of the love she has for me. What I mean to her, she is remorseful as well and has the same weird stirring feeling in the stomach. She seems willing to do what it will take to prove her innocence in terms of physical affair. Emotionally, there was a big issue that she seeked outside support company. She also liked the attention from this guy as well, and at some point found him attractive. Her time with him was pretty limited, so as she told me today, she stopped it before it went anywhere. We still have issues to work on, and to be honest, a part of me still thinks she cheated, maybe even physical affair, but definitely cheated emotionally. I'm pretty sure she didn't love the guy, but there was some type of interest. As far as his girlfriend and baby mom, their children are also there in the house, but his girlfriend knows him to be a serial cheater, so she will say anything. I love my wife, as I also reassured her and told her what she meant to me. So I do hope things work out in her favor. I just need truth. I do find an issue with the stories of not answering the phone though, so there's that. On to the next story. I, female 28, just learned that my fiancé, male 31, cheated on me with my best friend, female 27. 4 years and a few months ago, my best friend, Andrea, female 27, and I moved to one of the biggest cities in the US together. Both of us had gotten jobs there, and though we were in the same industry, we were hired by different companies. We ended up sharing an apartment, and life was great. One evening, she called me from her office and asked me to meet her at a bar. Her entire department was going out for drinks. Both of us were not dating yet, so I headed out and had a great time with them. A few days later, a guy who was at the party called and asked me out. Brad, male 31, is kind and smart and funny, and he made me laugh and paid attention to the smallest things I said. We began dating, and before I knew it, it got serious. We dated for 2 years, and then he proposed. I accepted, and we began planning for the wedding in earnest. I moved in with him soon after he proposed. We were going to get married in my small town, and his family and friends were happy to travel there. Andrea excitedly agreed to be my maid of honor, not that she needed to be asked. Then COVID hit us in more ways than I could imagine. First, lockdown hit just as we were about to send out the invites. Then Brad suffered a 40% pay cut at work, followed by his losing his job a few months later. While he moped at home, I tried to keep his spirits up. Work from home took a toll too, as I was asked to join meetings at 9 p.m., create dashboards at a moment's notice, and work on weekends too. Brad and I grew distant. Soon he began spending more and more time outside, telling me he just had to get out. I was okay with that, believing him when he said he was just meeting his buddies. I was promoted late last year, and that meant handling a team. I began spending more and more time at work. Brad finally got a job too, which did wonders for his self-esteem. Fast forward to Sunday night. We were about to go to bed, and his phone rang. He was instantly super twitchy, telling the caller was late and he would call back the next day. When asked who it was, he said it was someone from work and that he always calls at this time to discuss work. I knew it was a female voice because Brad keeps the volume setting at the highest level. I wanted to say that, but for some reason I did not pursue it. I checked his phone the next morning when he was in the shower and found Andrea's number, saved as Bill C., and also a bunch of really racy texts. She sent him nudes and videos too. Their last conversation was what they will do to each other once she was gone. My dad suffered a mild heart attack recently, and I am flying home this weekend to see him. My heart sank and I began crying. Brad emerged from the bathroom and instantly knew what was happening when he saw his phone in my hand and my face. I confronted him, but he began making pathetic excuses, stating that he felt alone and all you do is work. I called Andrea, who denied everything at first. When I sent her screenshots from my number and demanded an explanation, she confessed to everything. She and Brad were having an affair behind my back for months. It all began when he lost his job, and she was pressuring him to break up with me. He would not do so. So she resorted to spreading rumors about my family to discredit them and to scare him into thinking that I would make him move back to my town after we were married. This I came to know after a lot of questioning. She also said that she and Brad had gone on a couple of dates before he and I met, and seeing him with me later really angered her. She even tried to get him to date her again after I began going out with him, but he turned her down. Brad's refusal infuriated her, and she hit the gym and began doing yoga with a vengeance to, in her own words, get back in me. I have spent the last day crying, being angry, crying angry tears, and binging on takeout. Brad slipped out of the apartment as soon as he could, and I know that he is at her place right now. She has called to apologize, but I have blocked her number. She then called me from his number too, but I cut the call as soon as I heard her voice. My dad called to confirm if I was indeed coming over, and I cried, but I did not tell him anything yet. He thinks I cried out of sheer relief because he is doing better now. I want to break up with him and sever all ties with Andrea for good, but first I need to see my dad. I'm so lost. Should I tell him? I hate myself for not noticing this earlier and that I gave too much of myself to work. Also, Andrea's family and mine have been very close for decades. Andrea's mother and older sister have been nurses their whole lives, and they work at the hospital where Dad spent some time in the ICU recently. My mom is super grateful to them for all the help and support they gave us, and rightfully so. What do I do? How do I go about doing it? I am lost and angry and crying.